I cannot tahan what I call blue jeans rock. I live my life for you. I cannot take all those sticks. I really hate that kind of music. I do loathe it. Music was a very personal thing, and maybe because I think I'm more an introvert, so I never quite looked at music as a social thing, which has always disadvantaged me. That's why I don't really belong to any peer music group here in Singapore. Even though I'm big on black metal, I'm never like part of any metal clique, black metal clique. I'm big on punk. I'm never big with any punk music clique as well, because I'm generally very introverted. And I think music, when I went to London the first time and I watched those concerts, the one thing that hit me was that I take to music more personally as a bedroom thing than a concert hall thing, to the point whereby sometimes watching a concert is not as good as listening to the album. When Emmylou Harris came up with Red Dirt Girl, it was such an important album for me, because it woke me up from something that I wasn't even aware of until I heard the album. I was in pain, but I didn't know what it was. I knew it wasn't about somebody, even though there was a somebody there, but I knew that I wasn't in love with that somebody, but there was something that was very disturbing. And then when I so happened I took out the album, I heard it, and I realized what it was. It was me sublimating love with sex. The best concert ever in Singapore is the first Pet Shop Boys at the indoor stadium when they first came for their Discovery Tour. It was the most subversive show ever. Typically in a Pet Shop Boys concert, the male dancers were in front, the female dancers were in the back, resigned to the back, playing air guitar, while the male dancers were the ones that were grinding their hips. And it got to a point whereby they were really almost nude. From the side, they were completely bare. And the police rushed to the stage to stop the show. And the show stopped for like 15-20 minutes. The house lights came on. So I guess they were told, you cannot do that in Singapore. This was back in, 1991, 92, 93, you know. It was, those days were still like, no, before internet. So after that, yes, they were more dressed up, no more nudity, but they didn't realize that they were going to have Derek Jarman videos on the big screen. And Derek Jarman, well, needless to say, we'll show you two men kissing. Too late. We are so hung up about being hip, trendy, what is in. We forget that, you know, there is such beautiful pop magic when it hits the right note. And I tell you, a great pop music might be super commercial, but to me, it tops even your Nirvana. I can see why Smells Like Teen Spirit is wonderful, but I mean, to me, give me Fleetwood Mac's Dreams any day. I never get tired of it. I mean, I've heard that song since the day it became #1 until now. I still love it so much that the minute I hear it on the radio, I just go like, let me listen to it. It's very hard to nail. That's why I call it pop magic, and it's X Factor. There's something that just comes together which almost is inexplicable. You cannot describe. I think every pop artist strives to make beautiful pop magic, but it's not something that you can strive for because it just happens. And that's the beauty of it. It's always accidental. You know, who would have thunk that when Fleetwood Mac came up with Dreams, that everything would hang together so beautifully? You know, that it's almost impossible that the song could be what it is without one element. There's no such thing as bad pop music, because pop music appeals to everybody, you know. Of course, you can put it in different ways, like it appeals to the lowest common denominator. And most people would think of that as cheesy pop music, you know. But hell, you know, it's a matter of taste. And even I Like, I have to admit, I'm drawn to certain cheesy pop music myself, and that's the truth. I remember loving No Mercy. I don't know if you remember that boy band from the 90s. Regal is a word that I feel Lou Reed was very fond of using. And vigor, I took it from something that Jean Genet wrote, where he said, where the vigor of deep despair becomes strength in itself. Just like Joni Mitchell sings, songs are like tattoos. They help you recall a part of a stage in your life in a much clearer way. And they mark it for you as well. I mean, Zircon Lounge, Regal Vigor marked for me that phase when I moved out of my family and was suddenly on a romantic quest on my own. And I remember years later when I heard the album again, the first thought that came to my mind was, how did I manage to live through that period? After I made the last album, which was Singapura Uberalis, that was an album of many, many different collaborations. I collaborated with Zai Kuning, One Man Nation, Dick Lee, and then there was also with Ara Ophidia, this left field dark wave musician. And with him, I did the track, the remake of Wet Dreams and Biker Boots on the Singapura Uberalis album. I liked his music so much that I asked him for more of his creations, musical creations, to work with. But they're all like soundscapes. They don't have melodies, they don't have chords. They're just like, oh, oh. So I said, okay, let me pack them away, let me write my songs, and then I'll kind of match the songs with each soundscape. And then next thing I said, I think I should give it to Leslie Lowe and Vivian Wang of Observatory to produce it. I recorded my vocal parts in their studio, and then I left it to them. They took a while because they were working on the Observatory album. They took more than a year actually, so I finished my vocals for more than a year. And then they finally came back and said, okay, listen to this is what we've done. And when I heard it, I was like, oh, they played so much on it that they're not just producers, So that's how the collaboration came about. Who doesn't know that Dick Lee defines the Singapore sound? But we don't seem to like that. Because why? He's too commercial, he's too mainstream, and that's the problem. To me, it's not a matter of whether it's it's whether you qualify and whether you qualify that sound. Singapop, that's what it is. Singapop, that's Dick Lee for you. Apart from that, the bands that we have had through the years, from the Odd Fellows to the Padres to the Boardfucks to whatever Kevin Matthews is doing, to the Observatory, Humbug, they all define the Singapore sound. We are so insecure as a nation that we are ashamed of Singlish. You know how awful that is? To me, it's disgusting that you are ashamed of Singlish.